live on the air. I'm Richard Saile.
This is wild.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Loungetime. I'm your host, Rich Saile, and today is the Super Bowl preview episode. I know I've been gone for about almost 2 weeks, right? Well, new semester had to start up for college, and I'm in the middle of basketball season covering another team, but I still promised that I would make my Super Bowl preview show just a little later than I thought, but I figured right before the big game, you guys can get some of my insight on how I think this game will go through, some storylines I might go over. And we're going to have a lot to talk about today. We got Hall of Fame class got announced. I was going to do my 5, but instead I posted my tweet on who should have made it. We're going to talk about that because I've got... I am not a big fan of this class for different reasons, but we're going to save that. I'll go over some of the awards that I think most of us expected, but some of them I do want to talk a little bit about. First, though, I'm going to go briefly over the championship games because I did not get a chance to do it. I was going to do it last week, but I was like, you know what? I want to take my time and make sure this is a good final episode of the NFL season, unless the Chief bandwagons lose. But I'm going to get to the pick because that's going to be last. All right, that's the one that... You know, I got to decide because the worst case matchup happened for me and America, possibly. But let's go over briefly the championship games. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because you guys watched the games just as much as I did. The Commanders, I knew the only way they were going to somehow stay in that game was if they didn't turn the ball over and they converted on third downs and the long drives keep Saquon Barkley and the Eagles off the field. And they kind of did some of it, but the turnovers, that second fumble on the kickoff, it was wraps. I do think, though, that when I look at the Eagles in this game, they were just absolutely the team that I thought going into the NFC playoffs was the best team to come out of the NFC. Their defense dominated the line of scrimmage on Washington. Their secondary did give up a little bit of chunk plays. Second level, they kind of gave them a little bit of cushion. And then Fangio's like, all right, we have a dominant front four. We got to get after this kid. And they kind of got him into some throws where he kind of forced it a little bit. But he ended up throwing one pick, Jaden Daniels, which I'll get to in a second because I'm going to go big picture of him in a minute. But the Eagles' running game, dominant this whole season. Even in the playoffs, they've been just as dominant as they've been in the regular season. And Saquon Barkley, this could be a very good full circle moment of his season, depending on what happens tomorrow. By the way, Saquon Barkley, happy early 20th birthday for you. All right? And Cooper DeJean, too, I think his birthday is also tomorrow. So both of those guys get a birthday on the Super Bowl. So it could be a full circle moment for Barkley because of the season he's having. But again, that's part of the storylines. Let me get to the game now, okay? Jalen Hurts, he was able to throw the ball much better than he probably did at any point in these playoffs because the Rams, they didn't really let him... The Rams, he didn't really make a lot of big throws. The Packers, he didn't really make a lot of crazy throws. If anything, it was very short in that Green Bay game. I mean, he did make that one throw to Jahan Dotson in the back pylon, in the back of the end zone. That was really the one throw I remember he had against Green Bay. But other than that, this was probably the best game he threw the ball. So the Eagles look complete against Washington, and you could see why a lot of people had Philly coming out of the NFC. I had them in my playoff show that they were going to be in the Super Bowl because I just trusted them the most out of all the teams in the NFC. That that included Detroit, that included Minnesota, that included teams like the Rams, who were my sleeper at that point. But not surprised that they dominated the Commanders. But let's go to Washington briefly. I told my buddy this. I had him on the beginning of the season, my buddy Vinny. I told him, you got a future and a half. And this game, if anything, is a great building block game to begin for your future, to surround Jaden Daniels. And Dan Quinn and company, I think they're good coach. I think they're a really good coaching staff over there. I think that if they can get the pieces needed to support Jaden, they can be right back in that spot. But they're going to need to improve the roster a little bit, which they're going to have cap space. They're going to have some late draft picks to kind of make that work a little bit. I think they're going to be fine. I think people are going to want to play with this kid. And I think that if they could poke the right holes in the roster, I think this team could be really good in a few years. But I think this kid, Jaden Daniels, what a phenomenal season. I mean, to win Offensive Rookie of the Year and to win 2 playoff games on the road in Tampa, walk-off field goal, in Detroit, the way he played so well against that team. And I thought he really played good against the Eagles. It's just they could not stop the run, and the turnovers doomed him. That's really what it was. I think the one pick, look, that he had to force that one because you're down by a lot. But I thought overall he really did have a great season. I was really impressed with him, and I think I've seen a lot of great rookie seasons over some time now. I remember Dak Prescott's a little bit. I remember C.J. Stroud's last year. I remember a couple of them, right? But I think this might be the best one. This might be better than Stroud's from last year. No, it is actually better than Stroud's. Because of just the fact that of who he beat, how well they were playing, better record than they were, than the Texans were. And I feel like that to win 2 games on the road, that's impressive for any rookie quarterback. And I think it's definitely better than RG3's, Andrew Luck's in 2012. I mean, I had Russell Wilson's high because of what Russell Wilson did. But I got to say, this is better than Russell Wilson's to an extent in 2012. So, definitely the best quarterback rookie season in my time that I've seen. He really did play well this season. So, you got to give him that. They got a future and a half over there. Chiefs-Bills. We're going to go over a little bit too. I could tell early on in the game that Buffalo was going to be playing as almost they were behind. And I could tell with Josh Allen making some very erratic throws that I'm going, why did you go back to gunslinging, Josh? Where you're just forcing it up. And he had 2 plays that were nearly picked. And I'm going, I don't like the way he looks. And he started to settle down late, but I think it was too late. That opening drive to me was basically what set this game from the jump. And I feel like once he got erratic and he got nervous and you could see it, I was like, uh-oh, they've got him. And I just had that feeling like Buffalo's defense just, they had trouble. They gave him quick RPO slants. I was like, why are they not timing the slant? Right? The backers, why are they playing 2 off? I feel like that the Worthy catch, I'm going to be real. As much as I hate you Chief bandwagons, that was a catch by Worthy. That was. Because I knew the tie always goes to the offensive players. So I feel like that I knew that was a catch. I'll be real with you guys on that. But I'm going to say this, though. Okay? The refs struck again. They got in the fucking way and were like, yep. Oh, you want Mahomes in the Super Bowl because we need Taylor Swift for ratings? Yeah, we got you. That's what happened. That was a first down on that 4th and 1. That was a first down. That one ref, the top ref on the fucking the top the screen, he's saying that's a first down. The guy on the bottom's like, no, that's not a first down. I'm like, God damn it, yep, they're going to fucking watch. They're going to give Kansas City the ball, and what does the Chiefs do, guys? They score. It just amazes me how the public audience knows it now to a point where you can't even hide this anymore. How is this team getting away with call after call after call, and the refs go, yep, their way? I can't believe that this happened. I got my cousin basically trying to send me text messages that he knows I'm not going to be happy with. And he's doing it to upset me. That's how slick he is. Probably mad he didn't get a Loungetime invite this year, but don't take that out on me. Don't take that out on me, cousin. I got my fucking uncle bothering me about this shit, and I'm like, dude, why are you texting me this right now? You know I'm not happy. I'm still not happy. It's the lesser of two evils. Again, I've had to suffer on the show of who I don't want in the fucking game. But Josh Allen, listen, that man is great. Okay? Right now, I'm saying he's great for the quarterbacks playing now. But that damn team, that Scott Norwood curse keeps lingering over them. It just does. He did, I thought he had the first down. I think we would have a different conversation, no question about it. But once again, this fucking team gets bailed by the refs. The bandwagons are in, and now I'm in this weird situation because I feel like somebody from the league office might be secretly watching Loungetime going, this kid's bashing Mahomes. We have to make it the worst national nightmare happen again. He's a Brady fan. Let's really get him. Yep. They know I'm bashing this kid because on this show, I don't suck up to the media and bow down to him like he's a king. I don't do that. ESPN, I don't even watch them anymore, I'll be honest with you. I'm actually glad I don't watch them. I just can't. All right? And I stayed away from it all week. I'm so proud of myself because I don't want to hear the poison. Get that shit off my screen. All right? Instead, I got stuff that I was like, see, now everybody's starting to see what I'm seeing. I'm going to save it. Because I want to move into the awards real quick. Before I get into the game preview and the pick. So for MVP, I had voted Josh Allen to win MVP in my overall view. Now I'm not an NFL voter. I'm telling you who I would have voted for. Okay. I am glad that he won it. Damn straight. Not just because he was on my fantasy football team. I'm glad he won it because, in my opinion, and I said this argument to my friend Louie that I had on a couple weeks ago. That was a great episode. That if we're judging by the most valuable player to their team, Josh Allen, if you took him away from Buffalo, they'd have a worse record than the Ravens without Lamar. And Josh Allen did more with less, if I'm being honest. The dude lost his number one wide receiver, and they go to the championship game. He beat Lamar Jackson at home. Not his best game, but he did play smart football to win. Then Lamar did not. Now, I think that when I look at what people are saying, oh, Lamar got outraged, an historic season got robbed. No, it's just Josh Allen had his MVP defining moment against the team that he just lost to. But he was the only team to beat them at the time at full strength. And he beat him in his place. Lamar, I know he had a signature play with Cincinnati in week 5, but are you going to tell me you're going to take that play against Cincinnati in week 5, or are you going to take Josh Allen's walk-off rushing touchdown? Well, it wasn't really a walk-off touchdown, but it was a knockout touchdown with 2 minutes to go against the last unbeaten team in the league the two-time defending champions, going for 3 in a row, and he beat them in Buffalo. You're going to give me that play because there's meaningfulness to it. There's context to it, okay, of who you beat. And I got to fucking see a buddy of mine tweet the ESPN crew laughing at Dan Orlovsky, who I'm not a fan of, by the way. I don't like him either. Laughing at Dan Orlovsky saying why Josh Allen won MVP over Lamar. This is why I don't take ESPN serious anymore. Why are we laughing that Josh Allen won MVP? Are you... Now, I think there's a different meaning by that. I'm not going in there right now. I'm not doing that because I choose not to go even down that road right now. But, dude, if I'm being honest, Lamar Jackson stunk it up against Philly. That did happen. He did not play great against Kansas City. Oh, but he had a chance to tie the game. Toegate. You didn't play well before Toegate happened, play-wise. The Raiders you looked awful against. Remember that game in week 2? This team started off 0-2. This team was, at one point, I think, hold me to this. Weren't they 6-5 at one point? Early in the year? Yeah. Oh, but Josh Allen didn't play well against the Texans. Yeah, but here's the difference. It was a close game. And I don't know what Sean McDermott was doing as far as, like, wasting clock and not playing for overtime. That isn't Josh Allen's fault. That's coaching. Okay? So, I look at Buffalo. They were dominantly one of the good teams in the AFC. And then that second half of the last quarter of the season when the Rams, he did everything possible to win that game. If the defense couldn't stop Matthew Stafford and those guys. That's not Josh Allen's fault. That's being truthful. Detroit, he beat in Detroit. Lamar lost to Pittsburgh. Okay? Again, I know that he probably struggled against New England, which kind of hurt him a little bit. And Lamar played well against Pittsburgh before he lost the first meeting early in the... after the first loss that he had against them this year. But look, if I'm being honest, I don't know why there's so much outrage over it. Lamar had a good season, but Josh Allen beat key teams that Lamar Jackson did not. Truthful. Buffalo was better consistently than Baltimore was. Lamar lost to Kansas City. Josh Allen beat Kansas City in the regular season. Lamar lost to the Raiders. But Josh Allen lost to the Texans by 1 possession. Advantage Josh Allen. Lamar lost to the Steelers. Josh Allen beat Detroit. Josh Allen lost to the Rams when the defense couldn't stop a cold. Can you really blame him? Didn't Lamar lose to Cleveland this year? Yeah? Okay. I mean, listen. And think about this. In that lone regular season meeting in Baltimore, Lamar didn't really do crazy. That was Derrick Henry's doing, who I also had on my fantasy team. Derrick Henry was the one that beat Buffalo. So, pump the brakes a little bit, is all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Because, if we're being honest, I kind of just outlined why Josh Allen was fine with winning MVP. Now, this was true apparently when I found out. One voter had Lamar Jackson 4th, and people were like, that voter that had Lamar 4th should be off the ballot, never be allowed to vote again. That was bad. That was bad. However, I have one question to ask. One, did he have Saquon Barkley ahead of Lamar? Because I think I know his ballot, maybe based on who. I don't know that for a fact. I can guess who he probably had. I'm guessing he had Allen, Barkley, and Burrow ahead of Lamar. Which I would see. Okay, if you got Allen and Barkley ahead of Lamar, I don't have an issue with it personally. I don't. Burrow over Lamar. Yeah, I have a little issue. Why? Because Lamar did beat, I think, did he not? Yeah, I think he did beat him. I think he might have beat them twice. I think he did. I'm trying to remember. Right? I know that was just a back and forth high scoring game. That's all I know. I think the Ravens did beat the Bengals twice. I think they did. They swept them this year. So, I think that, yeah, Lamar should be ahead of Burrow. But Burrow did have a great season, yes, but they didn't make the playoffs at the end of the day. Albeit, I know Denver played a team with that rest of their starters. I get it. But you still didn't make the playoffs. So, I have a little bit of issue if you did it that way. Okay? But if you had, and I'm trying to think of the other MVP candidates quickly off the top of my head, I don't have an issue if he had Allen, Barkley, and then Lamar. I don't have that issue. If you had Burrow over Lamar, I may have an issue with that. That I have a little bit of an issue with. I would have definitely had an issue if you had Jared Goff ahead of Lamar. Definitely would have had an issue. But that's where I would be like, okay, then I'd be outraged. But if you had Allen, Barkley ahead of Lamar, no issue there. None at all. Burrow, yeah, I have a little issue with that. But yeah, that's to address that little nugget. But Pat Surtain winning Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, more corners are getting that spotlight since Charles Woodson in 2009, and there's been other guys that have won it since at the cornerback spot. I know Stephon Gilmore won it in 2019, and there's been a couple of other guys that have done it too. But Surtain, he had a really strong case this year. Number 1 defense in the league. I feel like that he is definitely a top corner in the league. I would argue you could say he's the best corner in the league. I have no issue with that. Definitely top 2 or 3. I will definitely give people that. So I don't have that big of an issue with that award. Barkley Offensive Player of the Year, come on. That's raps. I have no issue with that award. Jane Daniels, I just talked about Offensive Rookie of the Year. Jared Verse for Defensive Rookie of the Year. No issue there. I mean, the dude had a really good season. I even thought in the playoffs he really made a name for himself in the 2 games that he did play, albeit I know Minnesota's line was not great, but the Eagles line, the fact that he was playing well against them, I mean, I know they're decided by the end of the regular season, but you got to put that up there. So, no issue with that award. Ben Johnson, Assistant Coach of the Year, no problem. Kevin O'Connell for Coach of the Year, I don't have the big issue with that. I'll tell you why. Because I don't think anybody expected them to win 14 games with Sam Darnold, the quarterback, going into the year. Right? And that roster did not look like a 14-win roster. I'll tell you that. That definitely didn't. Now, if people said, oh, but Jim Harbaugh, Sean Payton should have won. No problem there. Dan Quinn should have won. No problem there. All those guys deserve it. But it's so hard to give it to one. And I feel like that, O'Connell, dude, to take that team and win 14 games and to make that team with Sam Darnold be that good, I don't have an issue with it. So, again, like I said, I don't have an issue with O'Connell winning Coach of the Year. I do think you can make the argument for about 3 or 4 other guys, and I'd have no issue with it. But I can't be mad at who they chose. So that's really that, the honors and award show, basically, as far as the awards go. Now, the Hall of Fame class, I got something to pick on with this. Man. Let me say this, please. Let me say this. I did not know that this was that low of finalists that got chosen since 2005. I didn't know that. That was wild. So 3 modern era people got chosen. Now, this is the only good thing I think they nailed out of this. About damn time Sterling Sharp gets in the Hall of Fame. That dude should have been in the Hall of Fame years ago. Years ago. For those of you that don't know, Sterling Sharp was when he played at the time arguably the best receiver when he played behind Jerry Rice. When he was in the league. The dude was good with Don Majkowski before Brett Favre came to Green Bay. That's how good Sterling Sharp was. Yes. He was competing for best receiver in the back half of the 80s with Jerry Rice. Steve Largent, I think, was retired at that point. But it was him and Jerry Rice for best receiver in the 80s. Back half of the 80s. And in the early 90s. Think about that for a second. He was doing great with Don Majkowski before Green Bay got put back on the map. And then when he gets Brett Favre, he still is great. Dude makes the game-winning touchdown against Detroit in the 93 wild card. I mean, the dude had basically great seasons that were piling up before his horrific neck injury that ruined his career. That dude, when he got Brett Favre, was still a top 5 receiver in the 90s. With Michael Irvin's, Chris Carter's, Andre Reed's. I said Jerry Rice. Okay? I'm trying to think of early 90s receivers that were up there that I'm probably missing. And I'm probably drawing a blank on a few. Tim Brown, but he was better than Tim Brown when he played Sterling Sharp. He just was. Okay? I mean, guys, Art Monk, he was better than Art Monk, when he played. He just was. I know it was a short timetable, but he was. He was definitely better than Herman Moore. I'm just thinking real quick in the early 90s receivers. But guys, this guy was great before Favre landed in Green Bay. And he was competing with arguably the greatest wide receiver in his era from the best at their positions. Think about that for a second. First with Don Majkowski, and then when they get Brett Favre, he still is great. He continues to get better. The guy was, I think, almost Triple Crown at one point. I think he did win Triple Crown one time. That dude was... I know he had 1,600 yards one year, I think, and I think he had 16 or 17 touchdowns, hypothetically. I know it was at least 13 one year. And I think he had over 100 catches, too. Fact check me, I might be wrong. But I know he had great seasons, okay? That man should have been in the Hall of Fame years ago. I am so glad he's in. That's the only thing that they got right. Now the rest, I got a little issue with. But by the way, before I get into the issues, Sterling Sharp, congratulations on getting in the Hall of Fame. You absolutely deserved it. About damn time that they got you in. You should have been in years ago. But that's my issue with how they do it and stuff. But listen, I have conversations with my old man who probably knew some of these finalists that were probably the older finalists that he saw play that I didn't, okay? It's to a point where I remember most of the finalists that he probably doesn't remember by name anymore, okay? Because, again, it's so hard to keep track of everybody as far as best player position. Now, me, I do it a lot more than my old man does, but my old man knows my, eye test and names, okay? A little different back then, okay? But I'm sorry to say this. Eric Allen was very good. Very good corner. Was he ever considered the best at his position at any point when he played? At any point when he played in his career? No. So, Jared Allen, who I remember playing, the Vikings defensive end, I liked him. Hall of Fame, though? Yes, he had the one season where he almost broke the single sack record, but that's a stat. Okay, was he the best pass rusher in football for a string of years? For a couple years he was, yes, but Hall of Fame worthy? I don't know. Very good. And this is when I'm getting into the conversations with my old man that I say. My old man told me it's getting to be the Hall of Very Good. And Deion Sanders said the same thing. And I'm starting to say to myself, I could see it. Now I'm starting to be like, yeah, it's becoming the Hall of Very Good because a lot of these guys that are recently going in, I'm not going to lie, I don't think they're Hall of Fame worthy, some of these guys. I think Zach Thomas, he made it, last year? He was good. Hall of Fame worthy? No. I'd have to go back and really look, but like, this might be the worst one though. Antonio Gates, that I don't have an issue with. He was definitely one of the best tight ends in football when he played. He should be in. That was the only one I got right in the tweet I had. Now, let me tell you who didn't get it. This is where I got an issue to pick with. All right, and I'll outline you guys my case for why they should be in because I couldn't do it over Twitter and stuff. Adam Vinatieri should have been in. You got Morton Anderson in, and I get Morton Anderson scored the most points at the time when he got in, okay? And I know that Jan Stenerud made it in years ago, right? Okay, we get all that. Adam Vinatieri should have been in. That dude made the clutchest kick in NFL history in the snow, okay? One of the most difficult kicks in NFL history. The dude made not one, two walk-off game-winning field goals in the early Patriots dynasty. Won 4 Super Bowls, 3 with us, 1 with the Colts, okay? The dude is the all-time points scorer. I know Justin Tucker, everybody says, is the greatest kicker now, some people say. I can't give it to him over Vinatieri because of what Vinatieri did in clutch, critical moments. And Adam Vinatieri's on the 100th anniversary team. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Eric Allen gets in over him? Jared Allen gets in over him? What? I ain't done. I got more. Luke Kuechly. I know he played short years. I know people are going to be like, don't say he's in that. Zach Thomas gets in. Luke Kuechly was better than Zach Thomas. Yes, he was. The dude, when he played in his decade, was arguably the best linebacker of his decade behind Bobby Wagner. And I think Patrick Willis played a little bit there. Again, my opinion, Luke Kuechly won Defensive Player of the Year. I know he had a ton of tackles, right? He went to a Super Bowl that Zach Thomas never went to. Luke Kuechly should have been in over Zach Thomas. But Zach Thomas gets in. Luke Kuechly should be in over Eric Allen and over Jared Allen. My opinion. That's 2. I haven't even got to some of the other names. I voted Torrey Holt a couple times on this show because I think Torrey Holt, his years post-Greatest Show on Turf era, got better. The dude caught a Super Bowl touchdown in his rookie season. Super Bowl 34, I want to say, against the Titans. Yeah, Super Bowl 34, I got it right. Okay, the dude had better numbers since his rookie season, and his numbers were even better when the Greatest Show on Turf was done. And that was with worse quarterbacks. Enough said. That's 3. It's 3. Terrell Suggs. He was a Defensive Player of the Year in 2011. He was on the same defense with Ray Lewis and Ed Reed and Haloti Ngata. Okay? He did win a Defensive Player of the Year, though. Jared Allen, I think, that was the same year that Jared Allen had almost a sack record, right? I think so. But still, you're going to tell me Jared Allen gets in over him? Eric Allen gets in over Terrell Suggs? Now, I know he won 2 Super Bowls. I know the last one he won with Kansas City on his last legs. I know. But, dude, in Baltimore, he was up there among one of those best edge rusher guys in the early to mid-2000s to the 2010s. I can for sure say that because that dude was definitely in the early to mid-2000s because the only ones I can think of immediately, I mean, Richard Seymour got in, and I like Richard Seymour. I would like him. I would have voted him, my opinion, on the Hall of Fame. I could see why people have an issue with Suggs not getting in over Seymour. I could, okay? Now, you know, him and Jason Taylor, they're kind of on par with pass rushers, right? So, again, he was better than Joey Porter was. He just was, okay? Dwight Freeney got in. I'd say Dwight Freeney's a little better. Robert Mathis, Suggs was better than Mathis. He just was. But, like, you know, he was up there in the conversation with those guys. DeMarcus Wares, I'm drawing a blank on like who these other pass rushers were that he should be in over. Okay, that played in the same era as him, right? And I just, like I said, I'm just baffled. This is 4 names. Now, I probably missed a few names. Okay, I know Willie Anderson, I think, made it to the semifinal round. I mean, to the finalist round. I don't know if I would have got him. Eli, no issue with him being left off. I know I got Giants fans watching that are offended by that. I don't have an issue with that. Zero issue with that. I have no issue with that whatsoever. But there were several guys where I was like, are you kidding me right now? Marshall Yanda, great guard. Definitely one of the best guards in the 2010s, for sure. I don't have that big of an issue. He should be in over Jared Allen and Eric Allen, honestly. He should be. Okay. What are we doing? Steve Smith Sr. Torrey Holt, in my opinion, is up there with Steve Smith among receiver rankings. But, like, come on, man. Like, I don't agree with this. I think we're turning this into the Hall of Very Good. Now, next year, that class is loaded because you've got Drew Brees, you've got Larry Fitzgerald, you've got Frank Gore. Why am I blanking out today on who the other one that should be in? Oh, man, this is why I'm not great when I don't have lists in front of me, guys. But, you know, there's some serious names that are going to be on the ballot next year, and I'm going, yeah, that's going to be tough to keep him out. That guy's the first ballot, some of those guys. All right? Definitely Drew Brees and Larry Fitzgerald. I know there's probably a third I'm blanking out on, but I know once I see the list, I'll be like, yep, that's who it is. But you guys can literally, they showed the tweet. You'll find it, and you'll go, yeah, he's going to get in. But Bill Belichick's also on the nomination list because now they changed the year where it's like 3-year wait for the coaches and stuff like that, or 2-year wait, something like that, okay? But, like, next year's going to be just as hard to get into. And we chose, 3 because we thought 3 finalists of the modern era class deserved it more? And I didn't know this. See, anybody that didn't get 80% did not make the final round, did not make it in. I didn't know we were turning this into baseball's Hall of Fame now. When the fuck did we do this? It was never that case. Unless I'm just been wrong about it the whole time. I've got a bone to pick with that Hall of Fame class. I'm sorry. Listen, I'm of the mindset where, like, look, if you're the best of your position, right, if you can't tell the history of the game without them, then you definitely are locks. Okay? But Jared Allen, Eric Allen, are you kidding me? Really? Really? We view them Hall of Famers? Over the guys I just mentioned? No. Huge bone to pick. No way. No. I vehemently have an issue with that a lot. Enough of my Hall of Fame rant, but, like, listen, those guys, in all seriousness, congratulations on getting in, but I'm starting to agree with Dion and my old man that this is starting to become the Hall of Very Good now. I don't agree with it. I really don't, but that's okay. I'm giving my opinion on it, all right? Now let's get to what everybody wants to know the most. Rich, who you got in this game? What's the storylines? What do I need to know to go into this matchup? Well, this is the second time in 3 years that the Chiefs and the Eagles are meeting in the Super Bowl. 2 years ago, they met. Guess who had the Super Bowl? Fox. Okay. Kevin Burkhardt, Greg Olsen that year. Now it's Kevin Burkhardt and Tom Brady calling the game. All right. Chiefs won 38-35. That was the beginning of their back-to-back run. And they're looking to make it 3 in a row, to be the first team to do it since, if you count the World Championships, since the Packers of the 60s to do this. Okay? But it would be the first time in the Super Bowl modern era that a three-peat would happen. And in sports, the last time it happened was, correct me if I'm wrong, was the Lakers of the early 2000s with Shaq and Kobe. So the Eagles have been a little bit different. A lot of their key offensive guys, Hurts, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, Mailata, Lane Johnson, Landon Dickerson was still there, I believe. A lot of their guys have been back in this situation. I think Darius Slay was still there, I believe. I think he was still in the Super Bowl. I think I could be wrong on that one. Gardner Johnson comes back to the Eagles after leaving Philly after a Super Bowl loss. Another guy. So, a lot of the Eagles that have been there have literally know this game is still fresh in their minds. Sirianni, second Super Bowl appearance, right? Vic Fangio, a defensive assistant for Philadelphia in 22, now the defensive coordinator for this Super Bowl run, okay? So, Andy Reid, again, going against his former team, all right? A lot of Kansas City's coaching staff is the same, okay? So, a lot of the guys on both teams, it's familiar to them, right? Now, I read this stat. Literally, I sent it to my buddy that's an Eagles fan for his show, for our college radio station. I gave it to him because I was like, I think you might want to use this. I don't know if he ended up using it. He probably didn't. That's all right, though. But the Eagles are 5-0 when playing on artificial turf, allowing a league few 11.6 points per game. Their numbers are on that Instagram post. I don't know if you guys probably saw it, but that's a known fact. And it favors speed, artificial turf, right? And the Eagles' defense is fast and all that stuff, right? So, again, I'm trying to think who had artificial turf. I know the Giants probably have it. The Saints, I know they held to 7 points. I think the Rams had artificial turf. That's a dome, too. So, Dallas might be up there, and Dallas was awful in Dallas. So, that's misleading a little bit, right? But, like I said, I feel like that I've gotten a good look at both teams this year, right? And I think here's one thing that 2022 had that both of these teams that are different now. Both of those teams were pass heavy back then, right? Both of those teams were pass heavy in the way that they operated both offenses. Obviously, in Philadelphia in 22, it was Shane Steichen with Jalen Hurts. And Mahomes, it was back when he had, potentially everybody said, Juju was his number one wide receiver. It was Travis Kelce. Stop the bullshit. Stop it. Travis Kelce was their number one receiver. You will not tell me otherwise. Okay? Now both teams kind of shifted identities since this game. Eagles are more run-heavy now, right? More dominant in the running game. Kansas City's kind of shifted towards that, dink and dunk style. They'll run with Pacheco and Kareem Hunt here and there, right? But also, both defenses are better. Oh, but the Eagles' defense in 22 was good. No, they were not. No, yes, they were statistically in the regular season, but any man knows that 22 Eagles defense, I'm sorry, Eagles fans, but I have to say the truth here. They were frauds once they played a good team. Just saying. They were. That year, they were frauds when they played a good team defensively. They were. Okay? And when they didn't have their fourth-string quarterback. Okay? But this defense is way better than that defense was. Both teams' defenses are way better. I feel like that, obviously Saquon Barkley, huge upgrade over DeAndre Swift and Miles Sanders from 2 years ago. Way bigger upgrade. To me, Jalen Hurts has gone down a little bit throwing. I think they're trying to alleviate a lot of the passing pressure off him, right? But I feel like that, too, in this game, I feel like, and I've tried to figure out the scenarios, Spags is going to force Jalen Hurts to beat him. To me, eye test-wise, I don't know if Jalen Hurts can win anymore throwing for so many yards, like Nick Foles did against my team. I don't know if he can do it against Kansas City. I don't think he can. And I feel like the way I see this game going is Spags is going to load up 9 in the box, and he's going to clamp the run up. And I'm serious when I say this too. The Rams could not stop the run. The Commanders couldn't stop the run. And Green Bay did a pretty decent job. Not a great job, but they did the best of the three damn teams the Eagles played in the playoffs. The Chiefs are going to do way better than that, though. So I look at this game and I say, something tells me Saquon Barkley might have his lowest rushing yards per game in the playoffs, because I just feel like Spags has built the defense to stop the run, and that's where he can get his creative pass rush packages and blitz packages to cash off that. And I don't see a scenario how Jalen Hurts is going to be able to outduel Mahomes, beating the Chiefs throwing instead of beating the run with Barkley. I'm telling you, Spags is going to key on Barkley, load 9 in the box, and dare Jalen Hurts to beat him one-on-one with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert, which the Eagles have the resources to do that. But they don't throw it as much because they lean on their running game. And I'm telling you, I don't see a scenario where Jalen Hurts outduels Mahomes throwing more than he does. I don't. Then what is the Eagles defense going to do, Rich, against Mahomes? Well, Vic Fangio's yet to beat Mahomes. I think he's 0-7, 0-8. Okay? Going back to when he was a Denver head coach. So I look at that and I say, I don't like his chances. Now, I get it. The Eagles' defensive line, way better. Okay? Fletcher Cox is out. Jalen Carter's in, right? Nolan Smith is in. And they lost Hassan Reddick. Okay? Jordan Davis is in at the second defensive tackle spot. He's a good run defender, right? Milton Williams. They got Josh Sweat. Okay? Yeah, I got all that. Zach Bond, an inside linebacker, helps out, right? For Kaiser White. Okay? So, yes, they're doing better. But I say to myself, do I really think that Vic Fangio is going to out-scheme Andy Reid? No, I don't. And I keep saying to myself, do I see a scenario? And I say no. But, of course, Philly's got the personnel to do it. And, yes, they're younger on defensive line, right? They're fast, yes. But Kansas City's also got speed with Worthy, Hollywood Brown, Kareem Hunt, Pacheco. And for some reason, you can't touch Mahomes outside the pocket, or otherwise you get a 15-yard penalty and it's an automatic first down. So, really the way I see this game is, guys, I just see a scenario where it'll be close. I would lean the under. I think that both defenses are better. Both running games are going to be a big factor. I don't think the Eagles are going to run as well with Barkley. Jalen Hurts is going to have to win this game for the Eagles if he's going to have to throw it, because, well, he's going to have to throw more because Spagnuolo's going to key on Barkley. Fangio's going to have to be really smart with disguising coverages and getting his pressure blitz packages on Mahomes, because the kid's almost to the point where he's almost seen every defense. And I feel like that the only way you keep Mahomes from winning a three-peat is by dominating the line of scrimmage. And I don't know if Philly's offensive line can dominate Kansas City's defensive line. I don't think they can. Sure, they have the dudes, Mailata and Lane Johnson and Landon Dickerson. Yeah, they got the dudes, but I don't think they can. Now, they did have a 10-point lead in the last Super Bowl that they matched up with. 10-point lead at half, but Nick Sirianni blew that. Okay? And I feel like that, look, the Eagles, if you're going to prove the narrative that defense wins championships, right, you're going to have to get turnovers. You're going to have to pressure the quarterback and affect him. Well, how Tampa Bay did it 5 years ago almost. So you're going to have to do it that way. And I don't know, and he's adjusted since that game, so you're going to have to find a way to pressure and affect the quarterback and get turnovers, because that's the only way you affect Mahomes with your strength on defense against that offense. Right? Offensively, you're going to have to dominate the line of scrimmage. You're going to have to take away Chris Jones, double team, and make sure he doesn't affect the running game. Karlaftis is going to be an effective pass rusher on the edge, right? Okay, you're going to have to hope that A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith can win one-on-one with Trent McDuffie and Justin Watson. You're going to have to hope that, because that's the game Spagnuolo's going to make you play. And Jalen Hurts is going to have to overcome the blitz. He played great last time 2 years ago, but I don't know. I see regression in him that I don't feel comfortable with it. Which leads me to my pick. If this is like picking the lesser of two evils, I don't like either of these teams. I've had conversations with people in college about this already. It really does pain me because I don't like either of these teams. Now, who I really think is going to win, I'm waving the white flag. Bandwagons, you're going to make me miserable again, aren't you? You've got the refs on your side. It's the National Mahomes League. I honestly, they're going to win, I think. It pains me to say this. It really does pain me to say this. Because I hate this fucking team. I hate the media literally dick riding this team like there's no tomorrow, to nauseum. Okay? These cocky, delusional, nauseating, toxic bandwagons. Everything I do basically is just ammunition for this team, and I'm done with it, man. I'm gonna have to hide the props again because every time I want to bring them out, they always make me put them away. I'm waving the white flag. I'm done. I'm done. I have no confidence that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. I have no confidence in them. I don't. I tried to root for Philly last time they met, right? But I just can't find myself seeing them win. I feel like my worst nightmare is going to happen to where, and there's rumors Travis Kelce might propose on the field to Taylor Swift after the game, which I pray to God if that happens, I will legit boycott fucking NFL if that happens. That's hard. That would be no way. I wouldn't even be watching by that point because I'll be so disappointed and disgusted if they win. But I'll really boycott if that happens. I can't if that happens. That would literally be the worst case scenario to ever happen. One, because then everybody's got the case on all the Mahomes fans are going to be like, well, Brady didn't win 3 in a row. But I've outlined my argument 1,000 times on the show. I am not entertaining this conversation at all because I know what I've seen. I know what I've seen with my own 2 eyes to why my man Tom Brady's the GOAT. Okay? I will not entertain this conversation. Now the media's been entertaining this conversation. They're ready to hail this kid the GOAT. But I don't see Philadelphia winning this game. I don't. I fear that the NFL is going to make sure that Taylor Swift's happy and that she keeps coming to games because it drives their ratings. Okay, the refs are on this damn team's side. It's the National Mahomes League, and we're stuck with it. It's the world we live in. I'm dead serious. I feel like we're doomed. My worst nightmare is going to happen. That's why if you see right now, I got the all black because I feel like it's my worst case scenario, man. I just feel like I'm going to be miserable for this offseason. I know it. Who will I be rooting for? Shit, if it's the lesser of 2 evils, I'm rooting for the Eagles, but I just said I have no confidence in them to win this game. So, am I really rooting for them? I'll let you guys ask that question. I don't, honestly, I'm just telling you my thoughts. So, there you have it. There's my Super Bowl analysis. That's my pick, man. If the best case scenario happens, maybe I surprise you guys with a video early in the week. But I'm going in thinking it's going to be miserable. Now, here's how this is going to work, because I did hint this early in the season. I want to this is my last thing, and then I'll let you guys enjoy your Super Bowl weekends. I did mention that on this show, we are going to start introducing some college basketball stuff. Now, you're probably like, Rich, how's this going to work? We're going to do the March Madness bracket thoughts I'll pick it live on the show. All right. I'm going to see if I can do a way where I could show you guys kind of what I have and kind of give like a voiceover as to why I picked it the way I have it. I'm going to try that. If I can't do it like that, no worries. All right. Worst comes to worst, I'll figure that part out. But I'm going to try to get a couple of episodes in before the tournament starts. That way I can get a look at some of these teams for myself. I do know this. I've been following it on the side while I've been covering NFL this year with you guys. And I do know that I have some teams that I'm like, shit, they're going to be tough to beat. I have some dark horses that are pretty good, but at the same time, we don't know who the brackets are yet. Although my Zags are not doing good, but I'm a little worried about them getting to the second weekend because they have a lot of problems on their own things. But I have my stuff that I follow for college basketball, okay? And the reason I'm doing the men's is because I know that men's college basketball better than the women's. Although you're probably like, why don't you do both? I don't have much knowledge in that in the women's college basketball game. I know like a few players, but I don't know the teams and stuff like I do the college basketball for the men's side because I've watched the March Madness tournament for years, going back to, I want to say the year Kentucky went 38-0 before they lost to Wisconsin in the Final Four, which I want to say was 2014-15. But I even watched the one where before it was Kentucky, Connecticut with Shabazz Napier. That's how long I go back and watch March Madness. That was my first one I really, really watched a little bit from time to time. So, really how this is going to work. I will have episodes discussing a couple key matchups that I want to talk about on some teams that I probably haven't watched. It'll be a little similar to the recap of Rich. It might just be a couple of hand-picked games. And then I might give a couple quick thoughts on some teams, right, that I think will be good. I'm going to kind of see how I want to do that. It's actually going to be the first time I'm doing it for college basketball on the show. So I really am looking forward to doing it. And I want to try a new spin on it. Now, you're probably going to ask me this question. Rich, NFL free agency starts when March Madness is rolling around with the conference tournaments and all that stuff. Will you talk about NFL free agency when that point happens? No, because I'm saving that for the early season of the NFL with the beginning of the new season. That's what I like to do because, again, if I talk about free agency moves, it's like, like everybody's basically getting their, comings and goings of new people. That's why I like to do it, like in August when I introduce like some fans kind of who got on this team and stuff like that. I'm not going to do it during college basketball because I want to just talk college hoops, man, when I do this. You know what I mean? Maybe if New England has like a big trade, I might squeak it in, maybe, or a big signing, maybe. I don't want to do that because I like talking college hoops a lot more at that point, okay? And then after college hoops, I think I'm going to take a little break on some stuff because I want to try to get some stuff done after college hoops. But I want to try to get college basketball March Madness because I want to pick the bracket for you guys on an episode. And then I want to talk about some of the games that I watched, some of the thoughts that we have, because college basketball, low-key, is becoming my second favorite sport to watch. Yes, over the NBA, even though the NBA had a monster trade deadline, which I might bring my homeboy, the NBA nerd, back here to talk about the NBA trades and who he sees going to the NBA Finals. That could be another episode after the Super Bowl that you don't want to miss out. But that's kind of my preview of how I'm going to do college basketball. I want to bring in a new audience that's strictly college basketball to Loungetime. And I want to talk about that because I love talking March Madness. I love talking college basketball. So there you have it, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Thank you for this wonderful NFL season that you guys joined for this channel. We keep growing and growing, and we're going to continue to grow. We're going to have content after the Super Bowl. Do not worry. I will have it all together. So I'll let you guys enjoy your Super Bowl weekend. Hope you guys have fun. Hope you guys pig out on a ton of food, man, and have a blast, man, okay? So, just have a great old time, man, okay? It's going to be a great game, hopefully. And, hey, hopefully, maybe, just maybe, that something goes right and I'm not miserable for another offseason. And if I'm not, you all will know by a video early in the week if for some reason they finally decide to not let the National Mahomes League get his own way. But there you have it, folks. Hope you guys have a great Super Bowl weekend, and I will see you guys in a couple weeks talking college basketball on Loungetime. Have a great weekend, everybody.